Hello and welcome to the deep dive, spoiler-filled discussion of Whispering Corridors 4 Voice. So this is something that I haven't been doing in a little while, and I'd actually like to start getting back to it, where I actually discuss the movie further in depth for the people that have already seen it that don't mind having it spoiled, so that I can talk about it freely. If you're wondering generally what I thought about this movie, then I would suggest you watch my spoiler-free review of it, that I will go ahead and include the link below. But for right now, let's start talking about this one. So, the thing I mentioned in my review that I didn't care for was the ending. I loved the mystery. I loved the figuring out what happened. What happened to Young-yeon that night that caused her to die? And the way that they laid that out, the way that the mystery unfolded, those scary elements that they had in play, I really, really enjoyed it. But the one thing I really didn't like was, as they revealed the situations of the past, they revealed how terrible of a person Young-yeon actually was. And they spent the entirety of the movie up until that point making her a sympathetic character. I was latched onto her. She was, for all intents and purposes, our protagonist. And I don't necessarily have a problem with our protagonist, our main character, whoever we're latched onto as the audience, souring and going bad or going rogue or whatever. I just kind of felt like it was a little bit too easy. It was a little bit in a situation where let's almost just retcon the character that we've already established. And I mean, to be to that point, to be to that level of evil, of actually coercing her mother to kill herself, of actually coercing all these terrible bad things to happen, even going so far as to manipulate spirits and the living as a result, man, that was just absolutely terrible. And then for her to not remember that and have that fortunate amnesia as she kind of went through, or at least that kind of mental split, so that I kind of got the impression that there was kind of a good Young-yeon and a bad Young-yeon, and they were kind of once they met each other, then they kind of she realized she was all one person. But regardless, that was honestly the thing that I think bothered me the most. And it's like I said, sometimes it can work. I just kind of felt like there could have been a level of establishing what actually happened in terms of what happened to Young-yeon, what happened with Hyo-jung that caused her to be a vengeful spirit, something along those lines. But having that kind of character swap places, where Hyo-jung was actually a gentle soul that just happened to wind up on the wrong place and get shoved to the side as a result of Young-yeon's actions, I don't know. I felt like okay, fine, it was unexpected, and maybe that is ultimately better. Maybe I'm just kind of armchair quarterbacking this kind of thing. Maybe it is better to have the unexpected level going on here. But perhaps if it was just a little bit more nuanced, maybe if she wasn't quite as evil as she actually made out to be, it would have been a little bit more palpable. But as it was, with the with the just the good and evil trading places like that, from what we were already expecting. We were expecting Hyo-jung to be the evil spirit going up against Young-yeon, which was the good spirit, and kind of battling it out from there, with Cho-ah kind of getting caught in the middle. And I really do have to say that she was fantastic. The performance of Cho-ah, played by Lee Ryung-cha, was fantastic. I mean, my heart broke for her, watching her go through this stuff as she's just trying to make it through the damn day. All this terrible tragedy is happening around her. She loses her friend, and then she doesn't lose her friend, but it's also a very difficult relationship to still continue in communication with this. And then as more things get revealed, the more she questions the friendship that she had in the first place. It was just absolutely heartbreaking to watch her go through this, but it was a fantastic performance. So, I mean, I really didn't feel like marking it down a whole lot in my review scores as far as how the mystery wound up going down. It did affect it, especially on the intent level. I'm not going to lie. I think that, like I said, in my review, I really had to overcome that feeling that, when you leave a movie that had an ending you weren't satisfied with, it's difficult to separate that from an otherwise fantastic viewing experience. And I really had to kind of meditate on it to prevent that from happening. I did not want the ending to sour the rest of the movie for me. So I was able to make that clean separation. And even though the score did get impacted, it's not like I just completely wiped the slate clean and said, this movie sucks. I know that some people might feel inclined to do that. When you leave the theater feeling less than you thought you would, it's difficult to not let that sour the whole movie. But I did try to stay objective. I did try to appreciate the previous, hour and 20 some odd minutes leading up to that moment. And that was another thing that I think that's okay. There's another element to this that I really felt like it when it revealed what was going on with Yong-yeon. They still had 10, 12 minutes left of the movie. And I really, really thought that maybe they would take that opportunity to do a reverse course. That maybe the visions that Yong-yeon was having, the history being presented to her was actually Hyo-jung manipulating her, maybe altering her memories, something along those lines. I really thought they were going to reverse course, but nope, they doubled down. They said this is how it's going to be. We're just basically running out the clock on this one. So I kind of had I don't like that. Well, maybe they're going to change it. No, they didn't. So, okay. That's, I don't know. It was just a little disappointing, but overall, I really did enjoy this one. Like I said, I wish the resolution of the mystery had just been different than it was. I'm curious what you thought. If you have seen this movie, if you've watched the Whispering Corridor series, especially this movie, and any of this resonates with you, you identify with it or you don't, I would still love to hear from you. Feel free to leave comments. I'll be responding to them. Otherwise, I really thank you for watching this deep dive, spoiler-filled discussion, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as I do a spoiler-free review of the 5th Whispering Corridors movie and possibly another deep dive spoiler-filled discussion on top of it. So thank you again for joining me. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.